Children of the light, come to Oak Cliff. See the light that tells stories on the wall.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jose Permar. I'm the director of Off the Road.
First off, I wanted to ask, what exactly drew you to coordinate with Regal, Paco, and Davis to be the focus of your film? What was it that drew you to them?
Yeah, I come from that region. I come from La Paz. It's the capital city of this region. So I knew always about the race. And my first idea was more to look more in the more isolated villages, like maybe more like countryside vibe in a farm or something. That was my first idea for characters, actually.
Okay.
But then when I started to know more about the race, because even if I knew about the race and about the sport, I never was a big fan of it before. So for me, it was some kind of, I don't know exactly criticizing, but I guess for me it was kind of funny. Like people were giving all this energy for an event that comes from the north, and then it's kind of sometimes it's kind of depredative in the place. So for me it was like, wow, and people makes it their party or their festival. So yeah, and I get to know the local races. Then Paco was the first person that started to help me actually to get to know the other characters.
Okay. Yeah.
He's like crazy for the races, as you can see on the film. So he was just one guy that we found, like, hey, you're making a film about the race? Yes, and they are very used to people making films about the race. They do this kind of documentaries that is more like recording the event and sharing as it is the path of the cars, and people put music, metal or whatever, and they play it in bars, and people gather to see 5 hours of cars passing. That's the kind of films they are used to.
Yeah.
So when I explained him, I had a different idea that I wanted some drama, like a film. He was so excited, so he was like, yeah, I can find you to help people. Yeah, and then that's how I get to know Rigo, for example. Because I was looking for this kind of underdog character. I don't want the big guy or the guy that maybe can win something or whatever. I want the kind of guy that you really ask, what the fuck is this guy doing? Why is he doing if he doesn't have any chance, or he's just giving all his money to this and he doesn't expect any reward? And he was, you have to see Rigo. So I went with Rigo, and actually Rigo helped me a lot to find another aspect of the film, because I was kind of criticizing this idea of people leaving for an event from the outside and getting ignored by it. And I was very tough with Rigo. Actually, the first interview I made with him, he doesn't appear on the film. It's just an interview to get to know him. And I was asking him I was very harsh, I guess, hey Rigo, why do you are using all your savings on these cars that worth less than the inscription fee for a race like this? Maybe you don't have any chance to be part of it for real. And those days I was working on TV to pay my rent in a different city, and I wasn't really enjoying that job actually, but I was spending all the money I was getting from these side jobs and spending all of it on the film.
Oh, okay.
So when I asked Rigo this, he was like, why are you spending all your money to come here to my hardware store to ask those kind of questions?
Yeah.
So for me,
kind of flipping the switch on you, perhaps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, okay, this is more about passion, more about this. Then that's how I connected, even if I'm not a big fan of cars. For me, was the connection. This is not about the cars. This is about the passion, about how you find your passion beyond any kind of reward, and at the end, that's what makes you what you are. That's what defines you. Enrico helped me with that a lot. Then Davis, I was very interested to show this part of the region, this part of Baja California Sur in the Valle de Santo Domingo. Because for me it was very important to show this kind of neo-colonization of the region, how the region has been always used like to develop some stuff, and then they leave the people behind. Like these kind of transformations on the place for me was very important. So I wanted to show that aspect, and then I get to know that they were like these kind of legends that the people say that they invented those races in this town, and then you see the town and you don't believe it. So I wasn't really interested to really prove if it's true or not.
I always enjoy like getting to screen films that are based in Mexican culture, or just anything like, you know, Latino, Latinx related, because it's just really important to me, like as a Mexican American, to be able to see things like this. Like, and especially like you mentioned, like something that I had never even known about, and possibly wouldn't even have been interested in. But then once I started watching your film, like I thought, oh, okay, like that makes sense. Like it makes sense why people like want to dedicate their lives to this special event that like showcases their town, showcases like their part of Mexico, like their world, like in general. But yeah, I completely get what you were saying. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. So as far as that, you were saying that you know, that these were the main people that were your focus. I wanted to ask about the desert race in general. Like if you yourself have ever competed in it,
No.
and if you haven't, would you document your experience someday?
I'm not sure. The farthest I have gone is like driving the Toyotin with Rigo.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's the most I have do. Uh, I don't know. Actually, I'm not a very big fan of the race itself. For me, it was more like trying to portray the chaos that happens, like this crazy clash of culture, like because this region doesn't identify as Mexicans, as the continental Mexico. We are in this peninsula that is kind of is very isolated. It's a big desert, but at the same time, we don't feel identified with the American culture neither. So it's and then it's the only chance for these small villages like to get like on the map, like people start to talk about them, so they get very excited. So for me, it was more about the crazy aspect of this big race, all chaos with this very calm desert. For me, it was more about that. So yeah, I don't think I will. I like hardcore experiences sometimes. Someone's tell me, hey, you want to come in my car? Of course I will jump in the car.
Yeah.
But maybe I don't see myself like professionally.
Yeah, you're like, I'll take the passenger side if anything.
Yeah, and of course, if someone gives me opportunity, I'm always like that, like, yeah, just for the experience. Like, hey, you want to come on to do whatever crazy thing? And I'm always the kind of guy like, yeah, let's do it. I don't care. Just.
I wanted to ask about the trio of musicians. So that's mainly what's really stuck out to me, like their way of singing corridos, and which you don't really see in like many films. Like you kind of have to dig deep for such things. But yeah, I kind of just wanted to ask about like the process of how.
So at some point I found out in one village that is like 1,000 people. I found some guys that were composing corridos, and corridos is like. Also, I wanted to make something a bit different and to include the culture of the place, because for me it was a film about like identity and about like this self. The sense of identity, belonging to a place. So for me, it was very important to show the culture of the place. So I wanted to include like the music and how people speak, how people wear. So And corridos is always about the heroes for these towns in the north of Mexico, like from the Mexican Revolution. Then lately, a lot of corridos dedicated to narcos, because sadly, many narcos have come like heroes for those towns now. They are so isolated, they are ignored by the center of Mexico. So some of narcos sometimes becomes like saviors of some of these towns, and they make songs for their heroes. So I found these guys composing corridos for the pilots of the Baja 1000.
Oh, okay.
So that's how the idea come. Then I couldn't work with the real guys I met in this village, but then I was still researching for more musicians. That's how Los Inalcanzables de la Baja came into the play. They are from my hometown, from La Paz.
Oh, okay,
So
cool.
I didn't know them like in person. I was just asking friends of friends of friends. I was checking their music, and I like their music, and also like them, like how they looked. So I invite them for a beer, and yeah, we started like to have like weird ideas with them, like why don't we compose the corridos together, and then you will appear during the film. And then I had this idea, oh, why don't you are like the narrators of the film?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I thought, oh, that would be very surreal. So I was very in love with this surreal thing. So I wanted to make it like a step further and play with the suites and the colors. Then I'm a very fan of Simon Liang.
Okay. Yeah.
And he does like he has some musicals. So I kind of base this idea of some of his musical films, like he has his episodes like condensate like more or less like what is happening on the film. In his films is a bit more like it's not that how I say it, like descriptive, but corridos are more descriptive. So for me it was fine. So that's how I knew that I wanted what kind of songs for what kind of part of the film. Like I did a very classical script for the film. It's a documentary, but it's very scripted. It's funny. It was very, very scripted. Also, when I was showing the film in some workshops in Europe, people were saying, were referring to the documentary as a Western.
Oh, yeah.
For me, I didn't see it before because I'm used to people to wear that way. I'm used to those landscapes. But then for outsiders, it was like, yeah, of course it's a Western because you are using this kind of landscape. So then I decided to play with the idea of the Western and to make the script like very classical. So I based in this basic Western kind of a script, like there is this kind of anti-hero or person like very disadvantaged, and then this villain that everyone talks about and is undefeatable. It's approaching and everyone is afraid of him. In this case, it's the Baja 1000. Is like these monsters, and everyone is like, yeah, here he can kill cows with his hand, or I don't know, like it's like this legend,
like a mythical creature in it, in itself, yeah.
And then when we already had like all the documentary, like the real stuff recorded, then we started to compose the lyrics.
Okay.
Between Damian, who is the singer of the band, and me, actually mostly I was writing the lyrics and he was putting the rhythms on the lyrics. So we were like, I was living in a different city, so I was sending him in WhatsApp like some lyrics, and then he was replying me audios like, yeah, I did this and I changed a bit your lyrics, and then I said, okay, then change it, and we were like chuk. And then when I had the chance to go to visit him, we had some beers and we rehearsed like songs, and yeah, that's how we were building it. Yeah, and it was also like in the production, like it was a very small production when it was the documentary part, because it was more intimate in the house of the characters with the baby, and everything was always like me and the cinematographer, producer, and sound, like 4 people at most. And then after everything was done and we had already a rough cut, we started to do a very different kind of production for this part. with 15, 20, sometimes 30 people, like some people doing production designers, the suite, the design for the costumes, makeup, dollies in the desert. There was also a very different kind of, also where I was playing with the characters, they were very aware that we were making a film. It wasn't like this idea, like I'm really following like your real life. I always was playing with them. I was like, we're making a movie, your life is this, the movie is this. And if you want to integrate stuff in the movie, just bring it on. That's how we end up with these scenes like Rigo playing as a kind of astronaut or something.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, it was more like a play, like yeah, let's do whatever you want. And they were also playing a role.
Yeah, it kind of seems like you gave free reign to like these people that you wanted in your film. It's like, yes, like this is a documentary, but at the same time it's part of your life, so why not make it what you want to make it?
But I wanted to make a film that doesn't take itself too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always playing with this thing, like, yeah, we can invent stuff. Or also like when we were having these interviews with the people in the desert, I was expecting, like in some other documentaries, mostly Mexican documentaries, we're very used to see like the very miserable ways people live in the countryside and suffer the violence. But in this region, people doesn't express that way. Like if I ask this lady, like, hey, are you sad because you live isolated in this village? And she was just making fun of herself. Come on, I put a tree whenever I get Wi-Fi reception. So
yeah. It's like, oh, like we,
people, so
we grounded that tree, and then like that's our spot for like WhatsApp and Facebook. Like, what more would you like? You know, like, because as long as they have that, then it's like, then it's fine. And yeah, that's such a great and like positive way to like see things, because yeah, like you mentioned, a lot of people would try to make it into like a sort of negative, but it seems like the townsfolk there are like, this is our world, like, and it's completely fine. Like, we don't have to constantly see it as like a bad thing. Like, we're just gonna make it what it is. And then also the fact that like, yeah, like they're part of something huge, like the Baja 1000, which was created there. So like, why not take it as is?
Yeah, I like it. I like that kind of contradictions in the film. Like, I know there is some bad stuff related with the race, and I'm not ignoring it during the film, but the important thing for me was like to show like how weird is that connection. Like people were saying, yeah, sometimes it kills my cows, but anyway, I enjoy it because it's the only thing that happens. So for me, it's kind of funny, but at the same time, it's kind of real. Like it shows something about the relationship we have with the United States, for example, with the relationship we have like north of Mexico and the US. For me, also represents a bit of this migration in the other way, because we usually just see the migration like the people that goes to work there and suffer a lot. But we don't talk that much about the migration that happens on the other way around, that usually is kind of exploitative. So I think it's also cool to put it on the talk. Like it's not always the other way around. Actually,
yeah, kind of making everyone see both sides of the coin as opposed to just like the main one. Yeah, I completely get that. Yeah. I also wanted to ask, what's your next project?
Yeah, I'm doing a master's right now. That's why I'm in Belgium. It's in the master's in documentary again. It's a very cool master because it's giving me the chance to travel some different countries and make like films like very fast. So it's a very good exercise for me. Right now I'm working on a short documentary like about it's a very different thing. I'm trying new stuff also. And it's more kind of an essay experiment about violence. I'm shooting people who is experts in the use of violence, like police, army, paramilitaries, martial arts trainers, police dogs trainers, all the people that have to train themselves or someone else on how to potentially harm someone. And with this, I'm trying to make a reflection about like otherness, like how we build prejudices, how we build who our enemy is. So yeah, I'm working on this short now. I just finished a short with my mom also online. I'm a smaller thing.
What's it called? Is there anywhere that we can see it?
I'm just submitting it
right
now to festival.
Oh, nice.
I hope soon it gets selected somewhere. Yeah. And there is I hope it will be my next feature. I'm still working on it, on the project, but I'm doing another musical documentary in Hungary, in a post-Soviet region.
Oh, wow.
In the outskirts of Budapest. It's about a guy that lives in a bunker, an abandoned bunker from the Second World War, and he works in these factories that now are kind of abandoned after the change of regime in Hungary. And the struggles of he like living underneath the same place he works in, but his real dream is to be a electronic music maker. So I'm using like also his music to show like some sort of the story of this like this post-Soviet thing, like people will always like used by any kind of regime, like working class like struggles. So yeah, I'm working on.
This was super cool to be able to talk to you and like learn more about you, because I'm super excited for whatever else you put out there. Like I'm in it, like I'm for it. So yeah, no, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.